On Saturday afternoon at the Emirates, something genuinely historic happened. A 16-year-old academy player from Arsenal came off the bench, picked the ball up near the halfway line, ran straight through Everton's defence and scored. And I have still very much lost my voice from being at that game on Saturday. It's Tuesday and my voice is still gone. But this just wasn't any goal. A goal that rewrote Premier League history. Max Dowman, 16 years and 73 days old, is now the youngest goal scorer the Premier League has ever seen. A record that had stood for 21 years, 2 decades gone. And when you start looking at the story behind this kid, you realise this might not be a one-off moment. This might be the arrival of Arsenal's next Hale End superstar. Welcome to Alf Talks Arsenal, and over the weekend something genuinely remarkable happened at the Emirates. A 16-year-old academy player didn't just make an appearance, he rewrote a Premier League record that had stood since 2005. James Vaughan had held that record for more than 2 decades. Absolutely crazy. For years it had felt like one of those records that might never actually fall. Plenty of teenage talents have appeared in the league since then. None of them have managed it until Max Dowman. And the way it happened made the moment even better. Arsenal were leading Everton late in the match. The kind of tense game where everyone inside the stadium is quietly begging for the final whistle. Everton had made it very awkward for Arsenal on the day. They had hit the woodwork. They had a couple of chances. Raya was unbelievable on the day and generally made the afternoon far more stressful than Arsenal fans would have liked. It was one of those games. Then suddenly the ball breaks near the halfway line. Dowman picks it up off a Martinelli header, drives forward. He takes on 2 players, gets past them. Absolutely crazy. 2 players beaten. Pickford is stranded miles outside his goal. Pickford doesn't know whether or not to go back towards the Arsenal goal to try and score or to go back to his goal. And when you realise that Dowman's off, you see Pickman then start sprinting towards his goal to get back. And Dowman calmly taps the ball into the empty net. And it was crazy, a crazy moment. If you look back at the video, which I've now seen about 60 times literally, you hear the crowd do 3 types of yes. When Martinelli heads it out the box, you hear a yes. Like, come on, we've done it, we're going to get the 3 points. Then Max heads it past the Everton goal, you get another shift, and it's sort of like a yeah, and then you hear the shift of, actually it's more like 4, then you hear the shift from when Max Dowman actually picks up the ball and you see that he's in open space, and then when he hits it in the goal, the Emirates absolutely goes mental. But the goal itself is only part of the story. Because if you look at Max Dowman's rise over the last couple of years, this moment has been building for quite a while. Dowman was born on New Year's Eve in 2009 in Chelmsford, Essex, into a family of Arsenal supporters. Football was always there from the very start for Max. He was playing locally in Essex, including time at Billericay Town, before Arsenal brought him into Hale End as a kid. And even at that stage, there was already something slightly different about him. He was playing above his age group, standing out physically, technically, and mentally. A strong left foot, sharp acceleration, and a willingness to take players on that most kids simply don't have. By the time he was 13, he was already playing for the under-18s. 13! That's so crazy. Which is the sort of thing that immediately makes people inside the academy sit up and take notice. From there, his development accelerated quickly. He was training with the first team at 14. He made his professional debut at 15. Started a Carabao Cup match at 15 as well, becoming the youngest starter in Arsenal's history. And earlier this season, he also became the youngest player ever to appear in the Champions League. So there's a clear pattern emerging here with young Max. Every time there's an age barrier in front of him, he seems to absolutely smash through it. And inside Hale End, he very quickly built a reputation, not just as a good prospect, but as one of the best players in his age group anywhere in the country. Other clubs were aware of him. There was interest, but he and his family, who are Arsenal through and through, never really entertained the idea of leaving. And that matters, because behind all the hype, there seems to be a very grounded support system. which is exactly what you need when this much attention arrives this early. And the thing that stands out when you watch Dowman play is how fearless he is. Most teenagers arriving in senior football play cautiously. They keep things simple. They avoid taking risks. Dowman does the opposite. He takes defenders on, he drives forward, he wants the ball. Against Brighton earlier this season, he completed 5 dribbles, won multiple fouls and finished with the most duels won in the match. At 16, which tells you a lot about both his confidence and his ability. But perhaps the most interesting part of the Dowman story is what Mikel Arteta has said about him. Because Arteta is not usually someone who throws around wild praise for young players. He tends to be a little bit careful with the hype. But earlier this year, he made a comment that immediately caught people's attention. He said what Dowman had done at 15 was something he had almost never seen before. Except once. With a guy that used to play in Barcelona, was his comments. And it's worth remembering, Arteta hasn't just seen Dowman once or twice. He's watched him dominate older age groups for years inside the club. So when he says that, he's talking about mentality, about fearlessness, about personality, not just talent. Now, to be very clear, nobody sensible is saying Max Dowman is the next Messi. Maybe there are a few Arsenal fans out there saying that, but that is not how football works. But the fact that Arteta even referenced that comparison tells you how highly the club rate him. He is left-footed, direct, very comfortable taking players on 1 versus 1. And he plays with the kind of natural confidence that you normally only see in elite attacking players. That said, football history is also full of incredible teenage prospects who never quite made the final leap. Charlie Patino actually made a very sensible point about this recently. He said Dowman should stay grounded and keep working, because the best 15-year-old in the country does not guarantee you'll be the best 18-year-old in the country. And that is absolutely true. The next few years will matter far more than the last 2. But Arsenal do appear to be handling his development very carefully and very well. Per Mertesacker and the academy staff have always emphasised gradual progression. They have not rushed him. They have moved him through the age groups step by step. This has been a process. And now he is beginning to appear in the first team at exactly the moment where he looks ready, which is how you build long careers. And of course, there is the Hale End factor. Bukayo Saka, Ethan Nwaneri, Miles Lewis-Skelly. Now Max Dowman might be the next name on that list, and the timing could actually be perfect. Arsenal are competing right at the top level right now this season. They are fighting for the Premier League title. They are deep in the Champions League, and having fearless young players who can come into the squad and bring unpredictability is incredibly valuable at this moment in the season. Dowman's willingness to run at defenders could become a real weapon at this stage in the season, especially late in matches when defenders are tired. But perhaps the most exciting part of this entire story is this. He is 16. 16. My kid is 2 years old. He's just 14 years older than my son. It's mad to think about. Most players at 16 years old are worrying about GCSEs. Dowman is scoring Premier League goals, breaking records, and forcing the entire football world to learn his name. Which raises the obvious question. Have Arsenal just discovered their next superstar? Or have we only just witnessed the very first chapter of a much bigger story? Either way, Hale End might have done it again. If you like this video, please give it a like. Please give the channel a subscribe. We just hit 10 subscribers. I couldn't be prouder. Thanks so much everyone for the support. I really appreciate it. And I will see you on the next one.